Hello, hello. Welcome to the Osumania Apprentice Level 7K tournament. I'm SurQ85 and alongside me in the commentary booth is Sparky.
Hello, hello, everybody. So glad to be back, rolling right along this round of 32 weekend, and we're continuing with another very exciting match here. We got Nene and Sakura going up against Shikitashi for a spot in that winner's round of 16. We are now starting off with that double elimination bracket, probably to the benefit of somebody like Shikitashi, who fought their way through that playoff match to make it here. So getting that extra lifeline to work with is probably a huge weight off their shoulders, and it'll be very exciting to see how they stack up against somebody like Nene Sakura, who was able to make it through to the round of 32 proper without needing to go through that playoff match.
Nene Sakura, I was looking through some other stuff. I was looking through the charts that I have ranked, and I remember Nene Sakura really having extremely good performance in charts around this level, and then Shikitashi, on the other hand, having a pretty handy victory over Latte on the playoffs, despite as far as I know, Latte actually being the better player on paper based on their skill ceiling.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these two players stack up against each other. And right now we're going to get into a little bit of a warm-up, not actually in the match just yet. I think this map in particular, just based off this introduction, a couple of notches ahead of what these players can be expecting in this particular pool. But if they can put off a performance on this, then it does bode well for them, especially on the more hybrid-oriented picks in this pool.
This looks like something that we'd be expecting like around the semifinals of around quarterfinals, semifinals of this pool, as it looks like it might be even further. Not sure, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to see like players just warming up like charts that are definitely harder than what we have in store for this round. But I guess that's normal.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely some different avenues you can take towards warm-up maps. I know a lot of players tend to err on the side of silly because they don't really want to give too much away, and it's your one opportunity to really do a little bit of a funny on stream. Some players relish in that opportunity. Others kind of want to take it a little bit more seriously, get their fingers under control, especially when you do add the 3 extra lanes that come from a 4-key background. So a lot of those players tend to use very hyper physical maps to get themselves warmed up. But here can vary just a little bit. I'm sure you have a little bit more experience on the 7-key side of things when it comes to warming up.
Well, I do tend to warm up on like the easier stuff before I actually go up in difficulty. I'm one of those diesel engine fingers, if that's a good way to say it.
Takes a while to ramp up there.
Yeah.
But always reliable.
Yeah. Just getting the blood vessels in the fingers kind of like opened and all that stuff.
Yep.
Though does appear that both of these players kind of did their warm-ups. That warm-up is probably just a tad bit above their skill ceiling, probably. Both did get an A. Shikitashi getting the better score of the two. But I don't think it will have that much bearing though once we actually get into the charts in this pool. So we have Shikitashi rolling a 67.
Yeah, 67, and I think Banjo ate the other message. It was an 84 from Nene on the other side. So Shikitashi going to be up to ban first.
And they are going to be banning Be My Guest. Be My Guest, I'm pretty... is it right to say like we haven't really seen this on stream just yet?
I mean, we're only a couple matches in, so this is definitely... I imagine with the lack of SV, I think LN becomes the next prime target for a lot of these players. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw an absolute like barren desert of LN play this weekend. There are a couple of LN enjoyers in this pool, or at least in this bracket, but they're few and far between. I imagine it's going to be a straight up Rice battle. With that being said, Nene Sakura actually banning out Rice 2 in response to that LN1 ban. So maybe a bit of a LN Rice dichotomy beginning to develop here between these two players right out of the gate.
Okay, just confirming, LN1 did get picked on the match previously streamed, which was the Kosu match. So it does appear that the LN2 is wide open. Like, depending on how both of these players will be. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Alright, there we go. Nene Sakura is going to be picking LN2, which I do expect coming from this player in particular. They're pretty well known to play very lower level LNs with some decent accuracy actually. As I think one of the scores I remember from this person was being able to double S the round of 16 LN coordination chart from this year's Mania 7K World Cup, which is a very, very nutty score.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'm noticing here on the map pool screen. I know it's seeing it in a different language kind of throws me off sometimes.
Wait a minute, why did they play a tiebreaker?
I think the metadata might be off a little bit here, but I think
they're playing tiebreaker. Wait a minute.
Gonna check the MP link real quick.
Yeah. Give me a few.
Oh yeah, this is the
tiebreaker,
yeah. This is a bit of a conundrum here to start this match off. Very bold strategy. Getting overruled here.
Yeah, just checking. It might have been just some error.
Yeah, just the wrong copy paste coming through.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
It happens, believe me. There's so many numbers, it's easy to get mixed up here, and it looks like
there we go. I'm pretty sure I saw LN2 being picked earlier. I might be just missing out on the copy paste or something like that.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, I do hope that the players didn't get just too phased by it. It does have an effect on some of these players.
You know what it is, Surf? It is a sign of things to come.
Maybe
it is the premonition. They're calling it now. It is going to happen. We're going to see a tiebreaker. Maybe not in this match, but sometime this weekend we will see that wonderful, wonderful tiebreaker come through. But now we're officially loaded into LN2.
Well, as expected, Nene Sakura. Ooh, that was actually early 200 from Nene Sakura. Both players practically tied in accuracy very early on.
Yeah, these first couple of releases, not the worst to read through. Definitely does test your coordination a little bit when you try and get through some of the Rice interspersed with some of the LNs to play through, but outside of a couple straight 200s and maybe a rush at 300s, both players lingering around this mid to low 99% range, and it's really just going to come down to who can maintain their composure for a larger duration. And sure enough, both players actually trading a couple misses here going into the second third of the chart now.
Nene Sakura getting out of this situation the better between these two, though. Shikitashi finding some trouble hitting the Rice while holding those longer LNs. And now here we go with the more straightforward patterning. Like, this is practically a slow chord stream. Nene Sakura comfortably in the lead as it stands.
Yeah, neither player misreading any of those chords as they make their way through that section into the back half of the chart. About a minute to go for both of these players. Shikitashi hanging on to a couple extra misses as they try and make the recovery run. Now over that 400 combo cap, going to be able to stem the bleeding just a little bit here, but just based off this accuracy alone, the fact that Nene Sakura is actually starting to build up, but actually finding the break here on the transition. Going to wait to see if that wasn't a bit of client lag, but that was actually an organic miss down into the low 99% range, and it does drop the lead just a little bit here. About a quarter of the chart left to go. Is there enough time for Shikitashi to pull this one back?
Well, if Shikitashi wants to pull it back, they need to be able to maintain their whatever combo they have and maybe even raise their accuracy just a bit more. Time is against them. Time is against them right now, and there's not really much notes left.
Yeah, Nene Sakura successfully able to get back over that 400 combo cap. Going to be able to stop losing some points here. Does narrow the margin a little bit here, but still a 13,000 point victory for their first pick to make it 1-0 now.
And Nana Sakura, as you mentioned, finding the first point on the board. And now it should be Shikitashi's turn to give their reply. And I presume that they will be picking one of the rice picks. Given how the ban strategy has been set up.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a matter of what style of Rice they want to go for to kick things off. Rice 2 did get banned, and it's going to be Rice 3 instead.
Rice 3, Finders Keepers, I think this is the first time we are seeing this. Or at least as I've seen it being picked. I'm not sure what was the match history of the previously streamed match. Hey, Finder Keepers, the technical pick of the pool. Definitely a very different chart compared to what we had during the playoffs with level 0. This is a bit more continuous. Like the patterning here is a bit more consistent. Not much of a diff spike really, but this time around, you're going to be dealing with pretty tricky transitions. Like, you're going for a stream and then suddenly you'll have to hit a heavy chord. Not exactly the most straightforward.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be up to both players to navigate that successfully. I imagine the first one to find the drop will be the one handing the point over to their opponent, but it remains to be seen. Both players now loaded into the second map of this best of 7. That's Sakura currently up 1-0. Shikitashi looking to try and take that point back.
Shikitashi with the early accuracy lead, but this is extremely close between these two players. Nene Sakura just a tad bit behind, within striking distance in case Shikitashi commits a mistake somewhere here. Shikitashi kind of stabilizing around the 99.6% accuracy. So far, so good for them. Though Nene Sakura needs to start minimizing these act drops. Really, like we've seen a few 200s coming from their side when the 1/4s come into play.
Yeah, it really does feel like they're rolling some of these chords a little bit. Saw a couple of hundreds coming out in that first half, and as we transition into the second half, it is actually Shikitashi holding on to the accuracy advantage, about 6,000 points, just based off that alone, considering the fact that both players are holding on to their FCs for the moment. 3/10 separating both of them. Not insurmountable, is still within catching distance if Shikitashi were to find a drop, but it's actually Nene Sakura finding these stray bad judgments here and there. Fortunate to hold on to the combo here. Doesn't really cause that much damage, but it starts to build up after a while. And as we make our way into the last quarter of the chart, it stayed relatively the same, at least in terms of the gap between these two players.
Shikitashi practically comfortable now. A 200 being dropped there, but I don't think that's really going to matter as long as Nene Sakura doesn't really raise their accuracy. Nene Sakura should be hoping for a miss coming from Shikitashi, especially with the last few seconds of this chart. And that's it.
Oh my god, I always hold my breath at that ending. You don't want to take your hands off the keyboard until the song's over. Matching 300 counts.
Oh boy.
That is terrifying. It really just came down to mitigating the amount of damage from the 200s. Shikitashi able to do a little bit of a better job there, having that count, and they're able to tie this up 1-1 here.
Nene Sakura might be wanting to As I mentioned, like they needed to minimize those 200 counts because it's going to matter a lot once the pool shifts to the right, once the match shifts like to the more ricey part of the pool. And not to mention, the hybrids for this round are a bit more biased towards the rice towards the rice charts, unlike what we had during the playoffs, which was more biased towards the LNs. So it is something for Nene Sakura to navigate.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But to their credit, the fact that they were able to keep Finder Keepers that close for as long as they did, it does give a bit of pause to somebody like Shikitashi, because they know that they don't have that much margin for error when it comes to going into those rice picks. So long as they're able to stay within striking distance, they'll be able to potentially take one of these breakpoints as we go into the hybrids here now with the LN pool exhausted. It's going to be Coma coming out.
Coma is the most, if I'd say it's the most accuracy reliant chart in the entire pool, considering that this does double as like a easy core jack pick with some LN scattered all throughout the chart. So Nene Sakura needs to pick up on that accuracy. Like, it shouldn't be too bad this time around. So it's just chords, not much opportunity to roll a bit too fast or a bit too slow. Just need to be super careful, especially for Shikitashi as well. You might want to avoid choking here, just even with the length of the chart in itself.
Yeah, right now it just seems there's a tiny bit of a delay for Nene Sakura, starting to trend a little bit to the right of that UR bar. Gonna damage their accuracy in the early goings here. Nothing too bad, just a rush to 300 should be able to calm it down and center themselves as this chart goes on. This is a very long chart for the players to read through, 4.5 minutes. Bit of a mental stamina test for both of them in this early going of this match, and both of them are handling it very well, despite that 200 coming out from Nene Sakura here on the transition into the second eighth of this chart.
That's a pretty unfortunate 200 here from Nene Sakura. Not something you really want in a chart that will be asking for your accuracy. Though I think if there's anything going for Nene Sakura here, is that there are a few LN sections here that are not exactly the easiest to deal with. There are going to be one-hand bias LNs, and it's going to be going for the right hand, then the left hand, and we might be seeing some accuracy drops on Shikitashi here, depending on what happens.
Yeah, and as we continue on here, going into the second quarter of this chart, huge rush of judgments coming out from Nene here, able to mitigate some of the potential damage there, able to salvage it a little bit down into the 99.5 range, but it is Shikitashi in control for the moment, about 2/10 ahead and climbing. Was in that 99.8 range, starting to come back down just a little bit here as we continue on. As is natural, there is a little bit of a rush coming out from them, but Nene Sakura actually finding the first break here.
And it's not the position you want to be in, especially with the accuracy difference between these two players. Though there are some opportunities for people to miss somewhere around the start, but I don't think that's a place you want to.
Yeah, for sure. One of the calmer sections of the chart. It gives your opponent a lot of free time above that 400 combo cap to really stretch out this lead. And sure enough, about 12,000 points, the difference between the two players at the moment as we cross into the back half of the chart. Still about 2 minutes 15 seconds for them to contest with. So Nene Sakura not out of this just yet, but that hill can quickly become a bit of a mountain to climb through if you're not too careful. But they are now back over that 400 combo cap, able to stem the bleeding a little bit here, and they're starting to close up this accuracy gap just a tiny bit as we continue on. Banjo taking a second to keep everything in check.
These staccato LNs not really giving Shikitashi many problems accuracy-wise. Though we do see a few gold 300s, but it doesn't really affect their accuracy that much. Nene Sakura really needs to start picking up the slack here. Like, just continue. Oh,
Yeah,
that
some really
200
late hits.
this would have been a miss.
Yeah, those are some really loud 200s to get on that calm section because they just stick out at you and you get to linger on them for a little bit. And hopefully, as we cross into this last quarter, it doesn't affect them too much. They're able to kind of right the ship a little bit, continue focusing their way through as Shikitashi finds a drop.
Well, we have a match. We have a map here, and Nene Sakura needs to continue whatever form they have. Like, just improve that accuracy. Shikitashi does not afford to commit any mistake here. A few 200s from Shikitashi after that one-hand trill, but if you're Shikitashi, just don't drop the core jacks.
Pretty much, just hang on for dear life. Nene Sakura actually finding a rush of misses here on the transition into these core jacks. They are pretty light, but after playing all of everything before, it does get a little bit hard to read through, and it does take them for a bit of a ride here. And I think they realize that the damage might have already been done. Maybe taking a look at the leaderboard and realizing that it is 20,000 points in favor of Shikitashi, and they take the first break point in this match to make it 1-2 here.
Pretty impressive form here coming from Shikitashi. Like, just an unfortunate LN break, denying them the full combo. Nene Sakura needs to find something, some decent form to make sure that they be able to snatch a breakpoint on their own if they want to not stretch this match to the distance, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the one thing for Nene Sakura to kind of rest easy on is the fact that they were able to keep Rice 3 as close as they did. So there's potential there if Shikitashi decides to go back up into that Rice pool that Nene Sakura could sneak one out if they aren't too careful. It's just a matter of which one they want to go for here. They can go for Bokurano, they can go for Kimono. That being said, that performance on the hybrids, and with the realization that these are a little bit more Rice biased, maybe something like Hybrid 1 or 3 starts to open itself up for consideration here. Yeah, it looks like the pick has come through. It is going to be Hybrid 1, so Penguin coming out here.
Definitely a song well known in the higher levels of this game. Yeah, this is an intended pick, actually. Hey, basically what I saw, oh, there's a Penguin chart, like it's low level. Alright, this goes in this pool.
Listen, if it's open, then might as well take advantage and see if Shikitashi can take advantage of that breakpoint that they have been given, be able to make it a match point situation, and really put the higher seed here in Nene Sakura up against it right now, looking to keep their winners bracket run alive.
If there's anything though, I do like this pick coming from Shikitashi. Again, this is a bit more, like, a lot of the difficulty here is going to be coming from the Rice, and Hybrid 3 might be something that they'd want to avoid, considering that there are some tricky LNs there on Hybrid 3, but if Nene Sakura is in some way listening to us in commentary, that might be something they might want to consider. As here we go with the first intense section of this chart, both players maintaining the full combos for Shikitashi. Just impressive with their accuracy.
Oh, and right as you say that, Nene Sakura actually finding a couple breaks here on the transition into the second third of the chart. They were hanging on. We were seeing a lot of 100s and 50s coming out from them as they tried to maintain the pace of some of those streams. Unfortunately, not able to carry it through any further, and they do find the first casualties of this chart, giving Shikitashi about a 50,000 point cushion to work with as they find a drop in this transition into the last third now.
Both players actually not really having an easy time maintaining their composure in this chart, but as the patterns start to wind down, Nene Sakura finding yet another drop, but I'm pretty sure this is practically another point for Shikitashi here.
Yeah, for sure. Just some very rough going very early on from Nene Sakura gave Shikitashi a cushion that they didn't need to look back from, and a very convincing Hybrid 1 win for them does make it a match point situation. Now it is 1-3. Nene Sakura gonna need to pull out all the stops here now to force that tiebreaker to come out. It's gonna be Rice 1 right out of the gate. No deliberation needed. They know what they need to do.
Going immediately for the chart that isn't exactly the easiest to act. But considering what we've seen from both of these players, it's going to be exciting since maintaining combo on this chart in particular isn't the easiest to do at all. Very easy to rush here as well. Might be something for Nene Sakura to take note of, considering what we saw from Rice 4. Actually, wait, no, Rice 3.
Rice 3.
Rice 3, like rushing some of the rolls there. But to be fair though, the streams here are a bit more consistent. Like not much the broken stream, so it should be easier to maintain that rhythm in theory.
And here we go, underway. Both players actually picking up a couple of first note 200s. Always interesting to see if there is a stutter at the start of the chart. Catches you a little bit off guard. Gonna start off in that 98% range, but Nene Sakura gonna find the first drop. Through this first quarter, Shikitashi able to recover just that little bit better here and gonna be able to establish that bit of a cushion to start this map off with.
And definitely not the start for Nene Sakura, but there is a lot of notes in this chart, like lots of opportunities for Shikitashi to find a choke somewhere. But we've seen from Shikitashi that they are able to maintain that level of consistency, like just enough to keep Nene Sakura at bay, and they are currently building up a bigger advantage as Nene Sakura is actually finding a few accuracy drops despite maintaining their combo.
Yeah, and they were lamenting about their current setup, maybe not the most ideal of playing conditions for them to get this match underway, but they are still trying to put their best foot forward, all things considered. Able to build up a pretty decent head of steam, start to build up their accuracy just a little bit here, build up some combo as well. Last quarter of the chart left to go, but I think the window of opportunity is quickly starting to shut, and Shikitashi gonna start to take a little bit of a victory lap here on this last sliver of chart. About 25,000 points the margin between the two of them, and the playoff winner gonna punch their ticket into winners round of 16, knocking Nene Sakura down into that losers bracket, and one of the first upsets of the weekend as well.
Congratulations to Shikitashi finding their second victory in this tournament in a row, and hopefully Nene Sakura doesn't feel too disheartened. They still have a chance since they will have at least one more match in this tournament next week. And I did hear somewhere that they've just recently moved places, so I guess that setup might have been less than ideal.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully they can get that straightened out and we can see the level of performance that got them their playoff bye next week. So with that being said, that will do it for this block of one match. There were a couple other ones scheduled, but they were emergency reschedules very late on. So the next match will be at 2 UTC tomorrow, if I'm looking at the schedule correctly.
Yep, it's going to be an exciting one because this is going to be a bit more of an. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, at least the skill level wise, there might be quite a difference, but in terms of like how these two players know each other, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It depends on whether Rhymes with Mash and Potassium F would like to mess around some way, somehow.
It's gonna be a pretty goofy one if I know these two and how they like to get along with each other. There is gonna be a double header for that as well. We're gonna have the simultaneous match of Anby going against Era Jungle. And then after that, we're going to take another pretty lengthy break and then start the Sunday block of matches starting at 10 UTC. So plenty of action to look forward to. The weekend's only just getting started. But for right now, we will be signing off and bidding you guys adieu.